Settle down, brother. This is the Quarter Report powered by ENC.com. South Africa's a movie. Welcome to the watch party. Shock, horror. What timeline are we on? Has one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse arrived? President Cyril Ramaphosa has fired an ANC minister. We never thought this day would come in the Government of National Unity, but Nobuhle Nkabane, the now former Minister of Higher Education, has been replaced by her deputy, Buti Manamela, and there is so much to talk about with this story, including the fact that she released some kind of weird "thanks for having me, no apologies" though statement and then deleted it even before the presidency announced that she'd been got rid of. The chewing gum minister has finally been, deposed. And now the spin has started. Was this the DA forcing Ramaphosa into doing this? Was it inevitably Ramaphosa just letting all of the receipts come out of how badly Nkabane had screwed up, how much and how far she had lied to a parliamentary committee that then meant that, by the time he fired her, it just is what it is. Is this now going to get the DA to actually vote through that higher education department budget? Also going to talk about some massive findings from Mzansi Barometer. We had Stacey Saggers on the Dan Quarter Show last night. Fascinating discoveries for 2025 into how much money South Africans are making, what they're spending it on, and how we South Africans feel about the state of the nation. We're going to talk about gambling and crime and corruption and optimism and so much more. Remember, you can watch the entire show in only one place, enca.com. The link is in the description. The other link in the description is to www.3beaniesnetwork.com, where you can get some of your own lekker 3 Beanies merchandise. Nobuhle Nkabane has been let go as the Minister of Higher Education and Training. Finally, I think it is fair to say, but also wildly, I think it is fair to say, because Cyril Ramaphosa has actually fired an ANC minister, not reshuffled, not taken the deck, and just given it a young zhuzh around. He has fired her. And we're going to dig into this thoroughly because on the one hand, it looks like and has been described as a capitulation to the Democratic Alliance because Ramaphosa needs them to vote with all of his departments, the ministerial departments, all of their budgets, so that once all the budgets are passed in Parliament, they can then pass the appropriation bill, which they have to do every year to basically ratify the expenditure of the new budget on departments for the next financial year. They are coming awfully close to the moment because at the moment we're living in this period where around 40 or 45% of last year's budget can be spent to keep these departments working while we wait for the new budget to be ratified by the appropriation bill. But we're rapidly approaching the date where it goes down to just 10%. And that's the date where departments can no longer function. People can no longer, many people in those departments can't get paid. That's very serious. And the DA has said that they will not vote through the department's budgets of 2 departments with compromised ministers. One, Nobuhle Nkabane, Higher Education. The other is Thembi Simelane, a former justice minister who's facing very serious investigations about handling money illegally around the VBS scandal. She was reshuffled to human settlements. The DA says they will not vote through the human settlements budget, which means that the entire appropriation bill cannot happen unless the ANC figures out another combination of parties to get a majority to vote that through. The DA says that they will not vote for the human settlements budget while Thembi Simelane is in power. And this always looked like a real choke moment, right? Because Ramaphosa can't be seen to be capitulating to demands. He can't be seen to be throwing away ANC ministers because the DA tells him to. That's the kind of thing that is going to cause finally an open civil war interior to the ANC about whether to kick the DA out of the GNU and reform the GNU. Ramaphosa wants the GNU to continue as it currently is. And so this always looked like a real potential disaster moment. But to be fair, Nobuhle Nkabane has made it so easy to fire her. All of her wrongs are open on the record and require no investigation. We've covered it on the show already. She is responsible for putting together new board members for SETA, the Sector Education and Training Authority. It's so stupid that I know that acronym because this should not be a controversial body. And she put together a new board chock full of ANC members or ANC-connected people, including Gwede Mantashe's son for some reason. And then people went, lol, that doesn't look good. And then she withdrew the appointments, but then to defend herself, she said that she created an advisory panel of independent people who had helped her. So it wasn't just her decision-making. It was an independent advisory panel that helped her put together this board. And then the standing committee investigating her said, who was on this advisory panel, and she said, I'm not going to tell you. And then later she did, also involving, and we will play the clip, that extraordinary moment where she was so rude to that standing committee member.
Minister.
What makes a person credible is exactly how it is defined when you Google. By encyclopedia, you'll see what it means. It's exactly that.
You are not going to answer us.
Yeah, and it was really just about the definition of what makes a person credible, right? And that was it. And she was like, no, Google it.
Google it. And then I've answered, my blood boils. Anyway, okay. Then she finally released a list of people who were allegedly on this advisory panel, including one, Terry Matau, a senior counsel, who the next day went on the radio and said, I wasn't on that panel, let alone heading it. I wasn't even on it. And then someone else who was allegedly on the panel said, nah, I wasn't on it. And then there was an investigation into her lying to Parliament, which is, of course, not just bad practice as a politician. It's a crime if it's under oath. Like Senzo Mchunu is now facing that in the police scandal over Brown Mokhotsi, associate/comrade. Again, I don't have time to get into that. Go watch the previous episodes. And then a few days ago, they were going to have another big standing committee meeting to call her to account and ask her to explain herself. And there were even other people involved in this scandal who rocked up to this committee meeting, and she bunked. And I say bunked higher education, she bunked, but she literally bunked class where she was there. She had to explain herself. She went to some kind of like TVET college speech to like talk about the plight of women and girls or whatever in higher education and needing educational opportunities, and absolutely did not provide. Someone tried to spin that she'd been told that it was cancelled. The committee meeting. It was not cancelled. No one told her that. That's nonsense. So genuinely, you cannot ask for an easier minister to fire, a more insolent minister, a more disrespectful minister, so committed to not doing her job or taking accountability, and someone who's explicitly lied on the record in front of the whole country and the whole of Parliament. Such an easy person to fire. I have to say, the president took his time to fire her. And then in his announcement, he didn't even say why. He just said, the announcement from the presidency, President Ramaphosa has removed Dr. Nobuhle Nkabane from the role of Minister in Higher Education and Training. I think it's supposed to be and has, in terms of Section 91.2 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, appointed Mr. Buti Khwaridi Manamela as Minister of Higher Education and Training. Mr. Manamela was, until his appointment, serving as the Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training. I cannot believe that I am grammar checking the presidency, but it's fine. A role he held from the 6th administration. So he never explained why he got rid of Dr. Nkabane. I guess he doesn't want to. I guess he feels like he doesn't need to, but he'd definitely make it like there'd be more room for people to say you've capitulated to the DA over this. But what an easily fireable person, I have to say. I'm not sure if Ramaphosa capitulates is really what is happening here. I don't think it will be perceived within the ANC, although I could be wrong, as a capitulation. Nkabane is such an embarrassment, and it's public record. It's not like, maybe Simelane took a bribe or handled money illicitly over VBS. It's like, no, Nkabane did this. There was a social media storm over how disrespectful she was and over her lying. This is a very easy firing. And then replaced with Buti Manamela, who is already the deputy. What's interesting is, and this may have been missed by some people, but he's appointed a new Deputy Minister of Higher Education and Training, Dr. Nomusa Dube-Ncube. Interesting for a few reasons. One, Dr. Dube-Ncube was one of the CETA appointees to the board that was then thrown out. She was, Nkabane appointed her to the CETA board. Eric is just covering his face. She is now, ironically, gone from being a CETA board member, jumping to a deputy minister. Because the appointment of her, amongst others, was thrown out at the beginning of this Nkabane scandal. Classic vintage ANC.
I need to ask at this point, how many yours
yes. On the your, today? I think we're on 2. I think one, your shock horror, he has fired an ANC minister.
Yeah.
2, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. What is this? And then so there are 2 other things that are quite interesting here. One of them is just a small story. Sunday World reported this weekend, before Dube-Ncube was announced yesterday, that her house in Durban had been burnt down. I don't think it's related, but I think it just adds to the absolute nonsense of like South African news, like things that happen in South Africa, the chances that her house was burnt down the day before she was made a deputy minister, it's just, we live in a country where weird things happen. It's just weird. It's so weird.
Dan, I need to stop you there. I need to ask you about the phrasing again.
Okay.
Because you said had been burnt down.
Okay, it's burnt down.
Okay, I'm just asking if there was...
I'm going to read it to you.
Are we talking arson here?
And that's actually going to give away the next big interesting point. Okay,
okay.
the headline is from Sunday World, 21st July 2025. Ex-KZN Premier, remember I've been talking about Nkunu and about Ramaphosa trying to keep KZN leadership on his side to show up support for the ANC. Ex-KZN Premier Nobuhle Nkabane's home, cars destroyed by fire. And then the exact copy is the family of former Premier of KwaZulu-Natal is devastated after her plush home, their words, not mine, in the suburb of Kloof in Durban was gutted by fire overnight. It also damaged 3 cars belonging to Nobuhle Nkabane, who served as the Premier of the province between August 2022 and May 2024. It's not clear what caused the fire and the value of the assets the family of Nkabane lost in the blaze. Now, I don't want anyone in the comments saying that Ramaphosa then gave her a job so she could recover from this fire. There is no evidence of that. I don't want anybody saying that. I'm not saying that. But the other really interesting point, as given away by the headline and the article copy, is we've been talking about how Ramaphosa needs to shore up support in KwaZulu-Natal, a massive collapse for the ANC in 2024, about this narrative now that Ramaphosa is taking out, or the ANC is taking out major, particularly Zulu men leaders. So even though Nkunu, ironically, is a former KZN Premier and a Zulu man, we can talk about Dumisani Khumalo, head of crime intelligence in the police, who's been arrested. General Kwanazi is a Zulu man, and it goes on. And so I think it is really interesting that he put a former KZN Premier, a recent one, under his administration, Nkabane, into a ministerial position. I think it's a really interesting strategic move from him to shore up support within the ANC by putting a powerful Zulu ANC member, former Premier, into his cabinet. I think it's very classic Ramaphosa to kind of like balance the powers within it. I think it's something that a lot of media may have missed or not focused on, but I think it's an interesting point. But true to form, Nkabane released a press statement before the presidency, and I'm going to read it because, again, the insolence, the disrespect. Media statement for immediate release from the Ministry of Higher Education and Training, Republic of South Africa, 21 July 2025. This came out before the presidency. So we knew she was getting fired before the presidency announced it. I, Dr. Nobuhle Pamela Nkabane, would like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, for entrusting me with the responsibility to serve as Minister of Higher Education and Training. It has been a privilege to lead this important portfolio. I am grateful to the sector and the people of South Africa for their support, for allowing me to serve in this capacity. I remain committed to the service of our people and the advancement of our country's development. Ends. Bold. Issued by the Ministry of Higher Education and Training. No acknowledgement that she's done something wrong. No acknowledgement that she's about to be fired. To be clear, she didn't fall on her sword here. She didn't resign before she was fired. She was just like, I'd like to thank you for your time. It's been such an honor. Thank you for the belief. There is no belief or support from the people of South Africa. That's why you're being fired, bro. This is a fantasy. This is a fantastical piece of fiction, this statement. I'm really glad she wasn't reshuffled, because this level of disrespect and Delulu is not the Salulu. Look, it often is in South Africa, particularly in the ANC, but at the moment for Nobuhle Nkabane, it's not.
I think just when you're caught lying under oath, I don't think there's any recovery from that. You know, I think everybody in the past that's been reshuffled, it's always been allegations.
With investigations pending.
Exactly, yeah. And now it's like, we just know. It's right there. There's nothing you can do about it. Nothing can save you.
Yeah, you're right. But now it's super interesting because that's one of the 2 departments where the DA said you need to get rid of that minister or we won't vote through that budget, and therefore the budget for the next financial year of the whole government won't happen. I don't see any evidence right now that Thembi Simelane is about to be chopped. She can't be reshuffled, remember, because then the DA will just move their objection to a new department where she's reshuffled to. The investigations into her, there's been no public reporting that it's moved significantly. It may be moving significantly behind the scenes. But this face-off, despite Nkabane being removed, is still coming over Simelane and human settlements. And so Ramaphosa has not fully dodged that bullet. And remember, we spoke about the fact that Ramaphosa has been dodging the ANC NEC meeting for months because there's a strong body within the NEC that wants them to kick out the DA. And just a few days ago, the NEC postponed its crucial meeting set for the weekend to allow its members to study a new document about the future of the government of national unity. That was reporting from City Press the 19th, which was last Friday, I want to say.